StrayAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of wait for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is fast and now. These are your new default settings. I'm going to explain that, of course, in a moment. First, a couple of messages from our sponsors. Number one, I send out a text message every single day, guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point. I call it the daily motivation. You want to get this message, so text me at my number, 305-384-6894. Once you text me, you'll be in my text community. We also send out a weekly message called the Monday Motivation. Does the same thing for your week that daily motivation does for your day. Just text me so you'll be in my text community. We'll tell you how it works, and everything that happens from there is completely free to join. So just text me right now. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. That is the place where I do all my coaching. It's the only place I do any coaching. It's the only place where you can work with me directly. It's the only place you can have me as your coach. Only place you can join a mastermind group of like-minded individuals who are seriously taking the game to the next level and have me overseeing and helping everybody and guiding everybody in that process. Again, that is at workonyourgameuniversity.com. That link is down below in the description. But that out the way, let's get into this topic. Fast and now, your new defaults. Now, I talked about this in episode number 2648 about how to get more life out of your life. So any of you who wants to live more life, you want to get more out of your life, then this is one of the things that you need to do. I'm going to go deeper into specifically these two new defaults. So as I'm recording outside of my door, it sounds like the FBI is trying to break it down. It's my son, who is 14 months as of this recording, trying to get in the room and attacking the door because he is locked and he can't get in. So I'm going to let you know that these two changes, because they're so important, are changes that you can implement right now. I'm going to tell you how. You can do this with very little forethought, no planning necessary, and no tools nor resources needed other than your ability to understand English. So if you have listened this far, that means you can understand English. That means you can implement everything I'm going to tell you here today from wherever you are at this moment. You could be in your car, you could be laying in bed, you could be sitting at your desk at work, you could be in the gym. No matter what you're doing right now, you can implement this right now. You can be brushing your teeth right now. You can implement this right now. All right, you can start using everything I'm going to share with you here today without doing anything else. Okay? No excuses for anybody. Point number one. Topic, once again, is fast and now are your new defaults. Number one, slowness is killing you. You heard me correctly. Slowness is killing you. Now, do not mean this metaphorically. You being slow is literally killing you right now. Now, how is that? How can I prove this? Every one of us is on the clock, right? Because each one of us at some point we're going to die. Everyone understands that. Everyone accepts that. Does anybody counter that point that every one of us is going to die? That truth. All right, on the heels of what we talked about yesterday, it's the truth that everybody's going to die. Not a fact, it's a truth. Doesn't matter what age you are now. You could be 50, you could be 20, you could be 37. You have no idea at what age your time will expire. So if you're 50, it might be when you're 51. You're 20, it might be when you're 21. You're 37, it might be when you're 38. So none of us is guaranteed a certain amount of time. Nobody. Some of you are in your teens and you will die before you turn 30. Some in your 40s and you may make it to age 100. So your age relative to someone else's has no bearing whatsoever on how much time remains on your personal clock. So just because you're half somebody else's age and you think you're going to out-achieve them at the age that they are by the time you get to their age, maybe you will, but hey, maybe you won't even make it to that age. So you won't out-achieve them because you'll be dead. So none of you should be looking at somebody else's situation and saying, well, by the time I get to their age, I'll be past them. Well, who said you were going to make it to that age? You have some kind of guarantee that I don't know about? So let's be clear. You could be decades younger than somebody, yet have less time on your clock than they have on theirs. I want you to think about that truth. Again, not a fact, a truth. So every time you add time to a situation, folks, getting to the point here, when you add time to a situation by delaying action that you should be taking now and doing it later, procrastinating on something that you should be doing now, but you come up with an excuse to not do it now, or thinking about it when you already thought about it, you are placing a blind bet that you actually will have time in the future to actually get to that thing later. When you say you're going to get to something later, you are betting that you actually will be alive later to do it. You say, I'm not going to do that today, I'm going to do it next week. Well, that's a bet that you're going to make it the next 7 days to do it. Now, you made it a bit many 7 days up to this point. I completely understand. It's happened before. You've done it 1,000 times before. You made it a week, right? Until you don't make it a week. You see, the thing about it is, I understand you betting on the probability that I'm probably going to make it another week because I made it a week before. I completely understand you making that bet. I made that bet in the past. But understand, the one time that you're wrong, the downside to losing that bet is that you lose everything. See, it's one thing, the downside to losing the bet is you lose a couple of hours. One thing, if the downside to losing a bet is you get embarrassed or you get punched in the face or you lose the game or you lose the race or something happens bad in your business or whatever. It's one thing if that's the downside. But the downside to you losing a bet of putting things off time-wise is that you lose everything, your entire life and everything in it. See, you got to look at the downside and how risky is that downside and can you survive the downside? Let me answer that question for you. You ain't surviving this downside. If you fail to survive the downside of placing blind bets on future time, you don't survive. You lose everything. Does everyone understand what I'm saying here? So, the way that delay is moving you closer to death. What you don't know the schedule for is that your time is being condensed. And again, you have no idea how much you got. Now, if you knew exactly how much time you had, then there could be some rhyme and reason to your procrastination and delaying. But since you don't know, there is no rhyme, nor reason, nor excuse for procrastination nor delay. This is how slowness is effectively killing you through delay and procrastination. Each time you do that, you're getting closer to dying with less having been achieved. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, fast now or your new default settings. Number 2, stop adding time to situations unnecessarily. As I just explained to you. So any of you ever tells yourself you need to think about something. Let me think about what I'm going to do. All right, picture an elephant. Everyone knows what an elephant looks like, right? The big animals with the trunks that you see in the zoo. I don't think you've ever seen them anywhere else unless you live in I don't know, Africa somewhere. I don't think they exist naturally in America. Okay, so picture an elephant. Everybody got it? Okay, picture a yellow school bus. I want you to think about the scene the day of your high school graduation. Those of you who did indeed graduate from high school. Picture the first car you had, your first car, whatever it was. Picture that car. Just get a vision of looking at that car. Get a vision in your mind at what your life was like around this time in 2018, 5 years ago. All right, everybody did those relatively easily, right? Everything I just prompted you in your mind. All right, do you all see how easily and how quickly you were able to conjure up those thoughts, even though you weren't consciously thinking about any of them before I prompted them in your mind? See how easily you pulled those images up? As soon as I said it, it immediately pulled in your mind. Didn't take you but 2 seconds, right? And you had the picture in your mind that quick, right? That's how fast thinking happens. I just showed you the speed of thinking. So the next time you tell yourself that you need to think about something, okay, think about it. The time it takes you to say, I need to think about it, you already thought about it. And the time it takes you to say, I need to think about it, you've already thought about it. Now, this is not to say that there are not situations in life that you really do need to take a day or two to really consider what you want to do. When you're house shopping and you're looking at 2 different houses and you like both houses, and your family likes both houses, and you're trying to decide which one are you going to take, you might want to take a day or two and sleep on that one and just see how you feel once you get a little bit of space away from the decision-making process. There are times and places in life and situations in which you do need to actually think about it and take time and consider every angle and come up with some type of framework for making a decision. There are times that this occurs. I agree. But you don't need 6 months to think about anything. Nothing. Further, the things that you do need to contemplate on should be based on a framework of thinking and a formula for decision making rather than you randomly looking at every situation in a brand new way. There should be some type of formula or a criteria through which you make your decisions. I heard a guy say once he went to a conference and there was a speaker. He was attendee at a conference. He heard a speaker on the stage who was talking about something that he knew he needed help on. He said, all right, I'm going to find out if this speaker has any type of coaching program or mastermind or something like that. And if that program costs $150,000 or less, I'm going to sign up and join his program. And the guy's program is like $15,000. And the attendee, the guy who was telling the story, he signed up for the program. That's a framework for making decisions. Did everybody catch the framework? The framework was, I know I need help in this area. This guy can help me based on what he's talking about. I know he can help me. So if he has a program, whatever it costs, as long as it's under $150,000, I'm buying it. That was his framework. All he needed to know was what's the program, how much is it? All right, it's 15,000. All right, that's in my range. I'm buying it. Done. That's a decision-making framework. So you see how he didn't really have to think. All he had to do was know the number. All right, there's a number. It was a decision tree. Is this number less than $150,000? Yes. Okay, buy. Done. Everybody understand? That's a framework for making decisions. And many of you are very slow to make decisions because you have no framework through which you make your decisions. And there are, I can tell you a couple of stories about this. Tim Ferriss, when he did the experiments on himself that led to the 4-hour work week, one of the things that he did what he did is he bought a one-way ticket out of the country, and he told his team, "Don't reach me. I'm not available for any reason. Whatever happens, you just deal with it." And one of the things that he did when he finally came back was he told his team, anytime a customer, because he used to run a supplement company, so anytime a customer calls with a complaint or an issue or something needs to be fixed, if you can solve their problem and make them happy for less than $100, just solve their problem and make them happy. So if that means send them another package, if it means refunding them, if it means giving them some type of discount, as long as the problem that you're solving will cost the company less than $100, just solve it without coming to me and asking me what to do. And even though that cost the company a little bit more money, it also helped them maintain customers and also saved his sanity, and it also saved the company a lot of time because the customer service agents didn't need to put people on hold and go ask the manager. They could just solve the problem without having to go to anybody. So it increased the speed of production, speed of conversations happening, less interruptions for the CEO, less interruptions and delay for the staff, and happier customers. So all it cost them was money. They used money to buy time. Did you catch that? I just talked about this a couple of days ago right here on the show, using your money to buy time. Let me tell you what episode that was. Episode number 2727, just about 2 weeks ago, how to use your money to buy time. I just gave you an example of it. And Tim just made a framework for how, if this happens, this happens. Using money to buy time. But that's a framework for making decisions, folks. This is not to say, again, there aren't situations you need to think, but when you think, have some kind of framework, have some type of formula for making decisions. For the most part, you already know what you need to do, and the most part, you already know what you're going to do. Just do it now. W. Clement Stone, who was a famous entrepreneur, he built a very successful insurance company. He wrote a book titled "The Success System That Never Fails." You should read that book. And Mr. Stone, one of his claims to fame on his resume is that he actually employed Napoleon Hill after being inspired by Napoleon Hill's books earlier in his life. He was inspired by Think and Grow Rich. That book led him to building his insurance business. And then when he became successful, he wrote his own book. He built such a successful company that he had Napoleon Hill working for him. And Mr. Stone, he had this mantra that he would repeat to himself every single morning, according to legend, which was, do it now, do it now, do it now, do it now, do it now. Every day, that's what he would tell himself, do it now. And that's what I'm telling you. Stop adding time to situations and do it now. Number 3. Topic once again today is fast and now. These are your new default settings. Number 3, when you live with speed and urgency, you get to live extra lives within your one life. How many of you like to live more than one life within your limited time frame here on the planet? Here's how you do it. I'm gonna tell you how to do it. If you want to live more than one life, 2, 3, or 7 lives, here's how you do it. Start executing with speed and urgency, and you will get more things done in one day than you normally got done in 2 or 3 or 10 days. Start executing with speed and urgency. You will get more done in one day than you normally get done in 2 or 3 or 10 days. Now, let me throw a caveat into this point, because some of you are thinking, well, Dre, look, I'm doing all the stuff I do every day, and it's taking me one day. So I don't know what you're talking about, how that's possibly going to happen. Let me tell you how it's going to happen. I will explain to you how this happens. Because in order for you to do this, there's some other things you got to do. You got to kill off some things. You got to look through your list of activities that you do every day, and some of those things got to go. And some of them need to go because they are not contributing to your success. They're not contributing to your growth. They're not contributing to your bottom line, but you are just doing them because of sheer habit. Because you're human. You just have these habits of things that you do that are providing no value whatsoever to you or anyone else, but you just keep doing them because you're used to doing them. Those ones got to go. Those are called your sacred cows, and you got to slit their throats and push them off the edge of the cliff. I talked about this in episode 1699, how to stop living in the past and sacrifice your sacred cows. Many of you are living in the past. In other words, you are repeating activities that didn't work in the past. They're not working now. They're not going to work in the future, but you keep doing them because you're so used to doing them. These are your sacred cows. These are the habits that you won't get rid of just because they're your habits. This is a reflection of what we call the sunk cost fallacy. Once you've already invested into something, you just want to stick with it simply because you've been doing it. I already been doing it, so I might as well just keep doing it because I'm already here. All right, this is the reason why people stay in bad relationships for years when they should have left. 10 years ago, they stay in it for 20. Sunk cost fallacy. This is why people do the same thing with jobs, do the same thing with friends, we do the same thing with businesses, we do the same thing with products and services. We stick with them simply because they're ours and because we've been doing it for so long, we might as well just keep doing it. Or because it was good a while ago, maybe it'll be good again. All right, famous last words. When you live fast and urgently, you get to live extra lives, but you must delete some things from your current life in order to get these extra lives in. All right, for you to get more time, we got to kill off some of the stuff that is usurping time but doing nothing for you. Anything that's not paying for itself, it got to go. If it's not producing ROI, you shouldn't be giving it R. ROI means return on investment. Excuse me, shouldn't be giving it I. Excuse me. Anything that's not producing a return on investment, you got to stop giving it the investment. Everybody understand? So once you do this, now you're freed up some space. Now you can execute with speed and urgency because you're only doing things that actually matter and actually move the needle. So guess what? You'll want to move with speed and urgency because every time you do something, you're doing something that moves you forward. As opposed to you feeling sluggish and tired and lethargic every day because you're doing a whole bunch of nonsense that ain't doing nothing for you. That's why you don't feel like doing it. I'm solving your life problems right here, folks. All right, this is why I'm a coach. I'm solving all your problems right here on the show. You should be listening to the show. You should be listening to every episode 3 times a day. Every episode that comes out, just listen to it 3 times. And then join Work on Your Game University and keep listening to it 3 times. Because that'll save us time on the coaching calls. If you already got this part down, then I'll have to explain this to you when we get on the call. We can go deeper and we can go to a higher level so you can go further, faster. All right, do you understand how all of this is put together? This ain't random, folks. I don't put this stuff together randomly. There's a rhyme and reason to this. We know what we're doing over here. There's a formula to this. When you live fast and urgently, you delete some things. Now, because you're doing things that actually matter, you will want to move with speed and urgency. It will feel fun to move with speed and urgency. You'll want to increase your speed and urgency because everything you're doing is mattering and doing something for you that you want to happen. You'll have no problem with energy. You'll have no problem getting to moving yourself to action. You have no problem with urgency. You have no problem with speed. You have no problem with execution. You will never need to procrastinate again. You will never need to add time or delay a situation because you're doing things that you actually want and like, and they're actually quote unquote working in your life. This is how you get more things done in one day than you normally would get done in 2 or 3 or 10 days. In this way, you begin to condense time, get more life out of your one life. You get to open up resources like time and space for you to live more lives within the frame that you have. You want to live those extra lives, you got to move with more speed and more urgency. And again, that requires you deleting some of the nonsense that is making you move slow. Every one of us has some nonsense in our lives that is making us move relatively slow as compared to how fast we could be moving if we got rid of some of the junk. Many of you got a lot of junk in your lives that you simply won't get rid of because, again, you're habitually connected to it. Come to Work on Your Game University. I will help you out. I'll help you get rid of some junk in the first conversation. First coaching call, we're going to get rid of some junk. All right. And I'm not talking about, when I say living more lives, folks, I'm not talking reincarnation. I think y'all get that, right? I'm talking about you getting more experience out of the life that you have right now than you are currently getting out of it. Getting more R, which is return on the I, the investment of your life. That simply means you condensing time frames. Y'all know what I mean when I say condensing time frames? That means instead of giving yourself a week to get something done, give yourself 1 day. Instead of giving yourself an hour, give yourself 15 minutes. I have a client of mine, coaching client of mine, who is wants to put out let's just say a course and some coaching programs. And there's some websites that my client is getting built by some other people that are not me. And we're running into an issue. We had a coaching conversation today. Me and my client had an issue today because the people who they have hired to help her put together these websites and pages and all this stuff, they are moving too damn slow. On top of the fact that I don't even like the work that they've done up to this point. And at some point, the hammer is going to drop. The reason the hammer is going to drop is not because my client's going to drop the hammer, because they are a little bit too nice of a person to drop the hammer. The hammer is going to drop because, as my client, I refuse to have it on my track record that anybody who works with me has something that looks like that and that kind of outcome attached to my name. So I'm going to get involved. And heads are going to roll, not only because of the lack of speed, but also because of the lack of quality execution, quality performance. I'll give you an update on that later. There will be something is going to happen. It's going to happen quickly. The whole point is this person is supposed to be getting, my client's supposed to be getting a website done. It's been a month, literally a month, folks, and the website's not ready. How does it take you a month to build a website or a landing page or a sales page or whatever the hell these people are supposed to be doing? Whatever they're supposed to be doing, they ain't doing it. Then somebody else was coming to take on the job, and it's been like a week, and they haven't produced anything yet. All right, at some point, we got to realize incompetence for what it is, and you got to kill some things off. We gotta slice some, we gotta cut some heads open, and we gotta slice some necks, and we gotta kill some sacred cows. And again, my client's too nice of a person to do this to the people that they've hired, but I am not too nice of a person to do it on their behalf. And that's going to happen if something doesn't happen within like 24 hours from this recording. So updates forthcoming. Anyway, if you can start applying this frame to your activities, instead of taking a week, take a day. Instead of taking 15 minutes, take 5. Instead of taking an hour, take a half hour. You start applying this frame to your activities, you will get more things done. I'll give you another story. I'll tell you about Ivan, who's a member of Work on Your Game University. I will say his name. He's an entrepreneur who has a background of working in television. Now, he told me how when he used to work in television, he would be given these really big tasks with impossibly small time frames and extremely short deadlines in which he was mandated to get them done, like impossible deadlines. And miraculously, he got all his tasks done in the time frame in which he was given. Magic formula, folks. Big tasks, impossibly small deadlines, and short time frames with a mandate to get it done is a formula for urgency and speed. You need to hear that again. Big task, short deadlines, small time frames, mandate to get it done. See, most of you got the first 3 down pat. Now, give yourself a big task and give yourself a short deadline. The problem is you're not adhering to the deadline because you don't have point number 4, which is the mandate to get it done. Mandate means if you don't get it done, there's going to be hell to pay and heads going to roll and you might get fired and not have a job anymore. See, if you had that hanging over your head, you would get everything done. Challenge for many of you entrepreneurs is that you became your own boss and you are a terrible boss. You suck as a boss. You are not respected by your staff and you're the only person who works there. That's the reason why you haven't been able to get things done. You're a terrible boss. You suck. I'm going to do a whole episode just on that. Let's recap today's episode, though. Fast and now, your new defaults. Again, I talked about this in episode 2648, how to get more life out of your life. Let's go deeper into it. Again, anybody can apply any of these things right now. All of you should be applying all of this right now, as a matter of fact. Number 1, slowness is killing you. Every time you add time to a situation, you are placing a blind bet that you will actually have more time, and that's a dumb bet to make because if you lose that bet, you lose everything. All right, that's a downside that you don't want to bet on. Number 2, stop adding time to situations unnecessarily. Thinking is instantaneous, folks. You don't need a week or a month. Like I say, the most you may need is a week, and it's a big life decision. Most of the things you all are adding time to situations to do are small, nothing burger decisions, and you're adding time to situations for no reason, simply because it's habitual for you to do it. This is the reason why your life doesn't look the way you want it to look, because you move too damn slow. W. Clement Stone said to himself every day, do it now, do it now, do it now. Number 3, when you live fast and urgently, you get to live extra lives within your one life. How many of you would like to live more than one life within your limited time frame? If you want to do that, you need to add speed and urgency to every single thing you do and condense time frames. So instead of giving yourself an hour, give yourself 15 minutes. Instead of giving yourself 10 minutes, give yourself 2 minutes. Instead of giving yourself a day, give yourself a couple hours. All right, stop adding extra time to situations, move with urgency, and you need the 4-part formula that I just told you about from Ivan. A big task, extremely short deadlines, small time frames, and a mandate to get it done. If you had all 4 of those things, you would get a whole lot done in a very short period of time. That mandate part is the part that you're missing, and many of you cannot be your own boss. So what you need to do is get yourself a coach who can help hold you accountable because you are failing at doing it. You are running out of time, and you need to stop bullshitting yourself that you're going to just do it all of a sudden when you ain't been doing it for the last 5 years, 10 years, 6 months. All right, this is the bullshit that adds time to a situation that is causing you to fail, and you are getting closer and closer to death every minute that you keep bullshitting and telling yourself a lie that you know ain't true. That's at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Make sure you text me so you're in my text community. My number is 305-384-6894. Daily motivation, Monday motivation every week. And go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. All right, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com so we can get you where you need to be while you're still here before you run out of time, folks. And we don't have to tell the sorry story, sad story of more value and potential going to the graveyard. Or is enough there already. All right, don't let yours add to the value. Work on your game. Dre, all